we get into the video, I wanted to share a special tool that David and I have been using for over 2 years to manage our inventory on Amazon. The tool is called SoStocked, and it is a very powerful tool. It's designed specifically for inventory management. If you're in a physical products business selling on Amazon, you need to be in stock, especially with the inventory restrictions lately. This tool is incredibly powerful. If you're having trouble with inventory management, this might be a tool to help you. SoStocked is partnered with Firing Demand, and they've offered our guests, our listeners, a 30-day free trial. So click the link in the video description to get 30-day free trial. On to the video. Before we get into the video, I wanted to share a special tool that David and I have been using for over 2 years to manage our inventory on Amazon. The tool is called SoStocked, and it is a very powerful tool. It's designed specifically for inventory management. If you're in a physical products business selling on Amazon, you need to be in stock, especially with the inventory restrictions lately. This tool is incredibly powerful. If you're having trouble with inventory management, this might be a tool to help you. SoStocked is partnered with Firing Demand, and they've offered our guests, our listeners, a 30-day free trial. So click the link in the video description to get 30-day free trial. On to the video.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, we have the privilege to interview Deanne Gustafson. Deanne is an Amazon influencer and co-founder of Kombucha on Tap. Deanne is also a former news reporter / anchor turned full-time Amazon influencer. She also co-founded Kombucha on Tap in 2014 and has nearly a decade of experience growing this brand. We are excited to share Deanne's wealth of knowledge with you today. Welcome to the show, Deanne.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So for those of our listeners that have not heard you speak, can you please share with them a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned in my bio, I started as a TV news reporter and anchor. And so communications and storytelling is in my blood, and doing videos, that's like what lights me up. And I did TV news for many years. In 2008, I left that industry kind of when the economy started tanking. I just moved back to San Diego, where I'm from, and I was freelancing, and they basically let go of all freelancers. So I didn't really have a choice. I just kind of had to pivot. And I went to online news, but I actually found a lot more like life that I liked in online news. I was able to work remotely, which I loved. This was, back before remote was like the cool thing. And I was getting really burnt out as a journalist on negative news. I had actually become desensitized to death, and I had kind of a life-changing story that we can share another day because it's kind of long. But basically, I had like a wake-up call that made me realize like I was not the person I wanted to be. Like I was excited for people to be dead, and that's not a good thing to be. So I really left that world and kind of decided to focus on positive stories and positive news, and still did the news for many years in the online space. And then in 2013, I had met my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and we were on a business trip in Bend, Oregon, where I used to be a news anchor, and we just saw kombucha on tap everywhere, and he never had it. So I just kept making him drink it. And I said, hey, nobody's doing this on tap in Southern California. Like, this is the market for it, healthy people. So we just realized there was this window of opportunity, and we took it, and we launched our company knowing nothing about being beverage distributors or kegs or anything like that. And then that was like, almost 10 years ago, nine and a half years ago now that we launched that. So then I did that with him. We grew that company really fast. And then I just started feeling like part of me was missing. I wasn't doing the videos. I never dreamed of being a beverage distributor. That was never my long-term goal in life. And he was super happy, but I was getting really stressed. And I was doing a lot of admin, which just kind of sucked my soul. And then I started live selling for a fashion boutique locally, which was fun because it was like doing the live part of TV news that I love, but instead of covering a homicide, I was just trying on clothes. And so that was fun. And then I started just looking, how can I get better at live selling? And I found Amazon had a live program. So I applied to that. That was about the end of 2020, and I got in and I did an Amazon live, and I made like 25 cents. What is the point of this? But I thought, don't give up yet. Maybe your first one was just rough. I don't know. So I did it again, and I made like 50 cents. And I just thought, well, this is just kind of a waste of my time. So I tucked the program away. I didn't touch it for about 2 years. January 2022, I started joining these Facebook groups for Amazon influencers, and everyone was talking about shoppable videos. And I was like, what's that? So once I learned that you could do these videos that are like product reviews and make money that way, I started doing that. And it was like instantly money was hitting my account. And then I went all in. So I've been doing that full time now for 1.5 years, and I love it. In addition, I still live sell once a week at a fashion boutique. I do UGC content. I kind of have a few different like things that I'm involved in. And then of course, I also do a little bit with Kombucha on Tap. So that's kind of like my background in a nutshell.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing your story. And I think it's awesome how you said earlier in the interview that you kind of light up when you get on screen in your video, and it's kind of like your wheelhouse. And so you've kind of went back to that. Now you've kind of found that in the e-commerce space with Amazon Live. So that's really cool. So can you share with the audience, like at a high level, what is an Amazon influencer? Like, what are they? And how do they make money? Like how does it all, you mentioned 25 cents, 50 cents, and now it's hitting your account. Like how does that work?
Absolutely. So the Amazon Influencer Program is through Amazon. You apply to get in, and they kind of change the requirements all the time. We don't know what their requirements are, so there's not like a set in stone, do this and you get in. But anyone can apply, and you can see if you get in or not. And then there's two things. So there's Amazon Influencer and there's Amazon Associate. Amazon Associate, pretty much anyone can do if you have a website. You could make a website tomorrow and get into that. That's where you share your link on social media, and you get commission if people buy from your link. And actually, you get a higher commission than you do as an Amazon influencer. The Amazon influencer allows you to have your videos on Amazon earning commission for people that are there to shop. So they'll see the product I'm reviewing, and if they watch my video either 30 seconds or more, or the whole thing if it's under 30 seconds, and then they buy, I get commission that way.
Okay. And so it's on the Amazon app, I guess, as they're shopping, there'll be videos or...
Yes, the app. And one thing to know is Amazon changes constantly. I'm sure you guys are very used to that as sellers. So for a while, we're shown on the app, and then we're not shown on the app. So we kind of have to be really ready to just like roll with it. And sometimes your commissions are great, and sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, are my videos even being seen? Like, where are they?
Gotcha. Yeah. And so one last question, then I'll kick it over to David. Is there a way to search products? So for sellers, like, if we're selling certain products, okay, two questions. One, how do we connect with influencers to get our products promoted? And two, if let's say every once in a while we'll have a massive spike in sales that we can't figure out why, and we're like, maybe it was an influencer. Is there a way for sellers to like look at all the influencers and see if they've promoted their product?
Yeah, I wish it was like that simple, right? Lidex, where you could just be like, this is who I'm looking for. It's kind of like a treasure hunt to find us. And when you get those spikes, yeah, you would maybe be able to see if a video was in the place, an influencer video, but if they shared it on their social media, it would be really hard to track it back to who you could give a nice tip to. But one way a lot of people find me, and it's mostly brands in China, but they'll see me on their competitors' page. So let's say I reviewed the Roomba, they have an off-brand Roomba, then they reach out to me and give me see if I want to do their product.
Okay, sounds good.
So you could look for your if it's on your competitors, they have influencers and you love that style of video, that's one way to do it. Yeah, I wish it was easier. I mean, if you guys have cool sellers, like feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to.
Awesome. Well, you're talking to most of our audience because a lot of our audience are cool sellers. So I would like to look at this from the perspective of the seller. How can brands partner with influencers and make money through the Amazon influencer program?
Yeah, so you can definitely find different influencers that are in the program doing these videos. That's one way to do it. Connecting with them, usually on our storefront, it has all our social media. It usually has our email. So right in there, just send an email out. And then just know most of us do want to get paid for it. So a lot of times there's like, hey, we'll send you free product. But unless your product's like a really high-end product, or maybe someone's just starting out, they might take it for free. But our time is still spent like making the videos, editing the videos, posting it. So usually, the influencer will come back to you with a price that they have, and then you ship the product to the influencer. We can't buy it on Amazon because that would be against the rules, and that would kind of show your like selling, I guess, gets a boost or whatever. So, and we also cannot rate it. So we can't give it like a 5-star review or anything like that. That would get us in trouble.
Okay. And from a seller's perspective, there's a one-time flat fee, which is negotiated between the Amazon seller and the influencer. And then that video presumably would go up on the product detail page. And then is there any other expense or any other obligation of the Amazon seller moving forward.
So then after that, the only thing is if you ever want to like use the rights to that video, you also could negotiate that. But what you don't want to do is just take that influencer video, download it, and then use it as your own, because it is copyrighted by that influencer. And a lot of sellers kind of don't know. Either they don't know or they think it's like a gray area, but it really is theft of our videos, and it hurts us a lot. We actually end up just filing a report with Amazon and do a copyright strike, which I can't imagine is good for a seller as well. So
No.
yeah. So if you do love that video and you're like, hey, I would love to put this on my website, ask the influencer what the price would be for that. And you always could negotiate that up front too and say, how much would it cost if, we want to use your video?
Okay, that's really helpful. And as you're looking through your offers, at what price point do you typically kind of move on? You had mentioned free product is, unless it's a really high-end product, probably not something you'd entertain. If someone is going into this, at what price point what is a fair offer?
That's a great question. And again, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you just want like volume, you could offer like $30 to people and they'll take you up on it. But if you're looking for like really quality, you might want to go 50 to 100 or even more. I will usually do it. I don't want to like lowball myself, but usually I put out in my form letter 100, right? So it's just like a flat rate. But if it's something that I know I could do fast, like you're sending me a shirt, like fashion videos, I can put a try on video and do that pretty fast. I'll do that for 50. I'm not going to like usually charge the full 100. But if it's going to be a product where we got to install it and it's going to be a whole, hours, then we definitely have to charge for that time. And actually my husband does a lot of the install stuff because I am awful at that. So he'll install ceiling fans and stuff like that. If I did it, it would take me like 3 weeks, but he can do that, and I'll film him doing it.
Another follow-up question. This is good stuff. I'm sure all the sellers listening to this are kind of like, all right, what's next? So it sounds like there's a range depending on how complicated the product is, how long it would take you. Your time is worth money, right? And so a follow-up question would be now two. One is the Amazon influencers, like on Amazon Associates, is commissions are the same? Does it translate over like as Amazon Associates? I think the commissions are between 3% and maybe 8 or 10%. Is it similar for the influencer or is it the same?
It's a little lower on the influencer side.
Okay, so a little lower. And then the follow-up question to that would be if someone sends over, let's go with the t-shirt example. They send over a t-shirt. I don't know why you would want to launch a new t-shirt. There's a million of them. But let's say someone's launching a new t-shirt and they send it over to you. They send you a $50 payment and you do a 5-minute video or whatever on the t-shirt unboxing. Yes, this t-shirt's awesome, blah, blah, blah. Post it. Now, how do you have like metrics that Amazon sends you and says, hey, your video reached 1,000 people or 5,000 shoppers and 10 of them purchased? Like, does it share metrics with you? And do you share that with the sellers?
That's a great question. Okay, so first of all, I would never do a 5-minute video on a shirt. So lower expectations, everyone, at 30 seconds.
That's a long video for a t-shirt.
Yeah, 5-minute videos are reserved for things that are like really detailed or just...
Okay, so 30 seconds? Okay.
But anyways, so how our metrics are not wonderful. I wish Amazon had better metrics for us. Like sometimes we can see how many views a video has gotten in 30 days and how long people are watching it for. And then we can see in our reports daily what's sold. So that's about all I know. I don't know anything beyond that. So as far as sharing our data, usually I don't think we're supposed to really share our data with sellers. Some sellers do work something out where they give you like an extra commission per month and you can send them like your monthly sales. But I'm not sending them like how many views it gets or anything like that. It's just like a straight, like, this is how many were sold this month. It's hard to track. It's hard to know if does a video help your page rank higher? That's something that it might be helpful for, which in return is going to lead to more sales, but maybe not through that video per se. Because again, we only get the commission if people watch the full length of our video or as much as 30 seconds. So they could still buy the product, but we don't get the commission because they stopped at 25 seconds. So it is kind of hard to know, exactly how much it's helping.
It's kind of what we call the halo effect, where you kind of do something and then it's kind of like you can't really trace it, but sales went up because the halo effect. And so, it sounds like it would be much better is if you could track it and translate that to sellers and say, look, my video produced X amount, and so you want to do then you can ramp up. If sellers knew that they're going to get an ROI on that investment, then they would do more of it. And so,
absolutely.
sounds like Amazon has some work to do on their side to get some metrics.
If they're listening, that'd be awesome.
So we've talked a lot about the perspective of the sellers, and I would like to talk about from the perspective of the Amazon influencer. There may be some people listening that are saying, hey, I've got a full-time job. This sounds great. I'm comfortable in front of a camera, and this seems like maybe a way I could fire the man. So can you walk us through, like, from start to finish, what that looks like from the point in time where you have contact with the seller all the way through kind of submitting that video and washing your hands clean of this project?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, to be an Amazon influencer, you don't have to work with any sellers. You could just review things in your home or buy things. So you don't have to be sent anything. And if you do get sent something, I always disclose that in my videos that I was sent it. But yeah, you don't actually have to work with anyone. But from the point of when I do work with people, usually my emails are blowing up. I'm West Coast, so like 11 p.m. to 12 p.m., which I happen to be up because I'm a night owl. So I'll be responding to emails. And then we reconnect our conversation in the mornings because they're on Chinatown time frame. So it's a little bit interesting, the communication. And yeah, definitely some communication things. You have to just be ready for that. Dear friend, you're going to get that a lot. And overall, it's been, I have people I work with like constantly. Like, I really like them. I respect them. They're awesome. But I've also worked with some super shady like brokers that, I don't know, I just like would cut ties with. I was like, this doesn't seem right. Like, something seems off. So yeah, it's emailing back and forth. And then once you agree on a price, I usually try to get payment up front using PayPal. I just do that. If I've never worked with someone, for sure, I want my payment up front because I don't want them to ghost me, or I don't want to be like chasing them for $50 or $100. Like, it's just not worth my time. And sometimes they'll say like, no, we only pay after you send the video. And it's like, okay, if they're like a reputable company, then I'm good with that. And then do the video. I usually give a time frame. If you're just starting out, try to make your time frame pretty quick turnaround. I have sometimes like 60 products I'm sitting on to do videos on. So I try to give myself like 2 to 3 weeks that I tell them the video will be up by. And then, yeah, I stick to that. So, and if something comes to me and it's like broken or not right, I let them know so that they can either send me a new one, or if it's just like a defective product, we'll kill it. We won't do I won't do a bad review. I'm not there to like trash them. I'm just going to say, okay, pay me for my time and I'm out.
And in terms from a money standpoint, is if you look at your overall cash generated, is a bulk of that cash generated from the upfront payments or from the commissions by Amazon? What does that split look like?
Yeah, definitely Amazon commissions are my number one. And then number two would be the payments upfront. And it kind of depends on how much I want to hustle too, because it does take time to shoot these. So, if I want to take on everything and anything, then I can hustle and do that. But you also have to, you're kind of not that you're working for someone, you're working for yourself, but you're working with the demands of other people now. So you have to make sure like your schedule is clear to get those videos done, because the last thing you want to do is like take on products and then not be able to get them done in a timely fashion.
In that stream of cash flows after the fact, after you've submitted that video, how long do those last for?
We don't know. Amazon changes it on us all the time. So some of my videos from a year ago are still earning me money, and some just drop right off, but then they come back. Like, it's so unknown, and kind of goes back to the metrics, how we don't have a ton of metrics. We really don't have a lot of like predictability of our cash flow.
And then the last question, I'm going to kick it over to Ken. In terms of the deliverable, you had mentioned editing the video. What's the expectation there? What would be something you'd consider sloppy if you were to turn it in? And what is kind of the expectation when somebody is paying you for that video?
Yeah. It kind of depends. So if you're taking on some of the lower price things, the expectations are kind of low, I would say. So if I'm being paid only $30 to do something, let's say it's like my mug here, I can do this in like a one take shot, just sitting down, talking about it, done. My editing then is just going to be trimming the beginning, trimming the end, and that's it. But I'm also, I have years of experience, so I can do a one take shot, and I don't need to script it. I can just go. But if it's going to be a little more detailed, then yeah, we do multiple takes. I want to be showing all the features of a product, and I want to use the product too, right? So if I'm sent like an oven and I've never touched the oven, but I'm giving a review on it, I don't know, it just doesn't seem authentic. So I want to like use it for maybe a week and be like, hey, we made pizza in this thing. It was the best pizza we've ever had, and be really truthful in that. So it depends. So there might be some edits, but it's not like a full stage production. I think most viewers don't really want that either. They just want it to feel like, they're talking to like a normal person that's used a product. And then when it's with my kids are in a lot of my videos, they're ages 4 and 5. So nothing is like planned or scripted. Like if I'm sent a toy, they're just playing with it super organically, like they're excited over it. I could hand them a box and they'd be like, they're just excited. But I'm filming it all. Those are my most edited videos because I'm not making them like act or do anything. And then I voice it over, or put the story together.
Yeah, no, that sounds fun. That sounds like probably the most organic videos is having kiddos play with toys, and you never know. I babysat my niece and nephew over this weekend, and it was hilarious. My kids are older now. My niece and nephew are 7 and 9, and so kids do and say the most crazy things. So one last question on the influencer piece before we kind of move into e-commerce. Now, do you do Amazon Live? Like, are the influencers and Amazon Live, is that the same or is that different?
Yeah. So as an influencer, you have the opportunity to do Amazon Live, and there's like levels of it. There's like a basic, an insider, and A-list. A-list is when you have over 2,000 subscribers to your Amazon page and you've made a certain amount of sales on your live. I'm not there yet. So I'm in the middle tier, the insider tier. And for a while, the Amazon lives were decent, but they seem like lately it's just been like the least amount of views and not kind of translating to good ROI. It's kind of sad because I love being live and I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But when you spend an hour doing it and you're like, oh, wow, like nobody watched, it's really deflating. And so some people do great in it, but I'm not there yet. I don't know.
Okay. No, fair enough. And, if Amazon can't control the shopper's eyeballs for long, maybe they just don't want to do that. Or, I think
this is like a theory. But what happened was a lot of people were getting into this influencer program that probably shouldn't be in it. And they were like just deteriorating the Amazon Live. They would just be live with like nothing going on for 24 hours a day. In like literally it'd be like them just sitting there. But they'd have expensive products in their carousel and just hoping people, I guess, like randomly click. And I think Amazon just got frustrated and was like, okay, we're just going to make it so that less people see it unless you're like vetted at the higher level.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense because I think our attention span is 7 seconds now. If we don't see anything cool in 7 seconds, we're off to the next thing. It's like TikTok and YouTube Short. It's like, so nobody wants to sit and look at someone sitting there still. So that makes sense. Cool. So I'd like to pivot into brand building and e-commerce a bit. You had been involved, co-founded Kombucha on Tap for almost the last 10 years. Can you share the top 3 lessons learned, and they could be good or bad, from co-founding all the way to where you are today?
Oh man, so many lessons. Top 3. Okay. 1 is just start. We always have this motto, instead of ready, aim, fire, just ready, fire, aim. Like just do it and then like perfect it as you go, because otherwise you're never going to get started. So that was like our number 1 motto. And I think that made such a difference in like our growth in the company. 2, find something that has a high demand and not a lot of people doing it yet. I think that was like a secret sauce for us, was that we found like an opportunity that had a demand and nobody was being able to fulfill it at the time we started. We, of course, got competition like within a couple of years, but we were a little bit ahead of the game in that sense. And then, with that, don't be afraid to keep pivoting. Like what's your high might not be the high forever. So we started with kombucha. We brought on cold brew coffee. Sometimes our coffee sales are higher than our kombucha sales. So, always be looking for like, what's the next thing? What else do you need to add or take out of your business? And then my 3rd one is don't always work with your spouse. We're super happily married, but I think that's like a big reason I took a step back of our company, and it just started affecting our marriage. And I don't know, like we wouldn't fight as a couple, but we would fight as business business partners, and I didn't love that. And so I think like it's really difficult to have those boundaries. And we didn't have kids when we launched it. So like we would work around the clock on our company, like get to bed at night and like still working. And it would be really hard to turn off like, okay, you're not my business partner now, you're my husband. Like that is such a hard switch. But I will say as a positive, and to this day, it's a positive. If he has to go like over to our warehouse and he's there till 1 a.m, 2 a.m, I know he's like legit working, and I would have thought he was cheating on me. Like 100%, I would have thought he had like a second family because of how much time he puts in. That's the truth of being an entrepreneur is like, it is hard work. It's long hours when you're starting a business and have a business.
Absolutely. So those were really, really great. I want to recap those before I pass over to David for the next one. And so ready, fire, aim. So don't be afraid to just get something out the door and refine it later. Do not go into business with your partner, or if you do, have some really good ground rules and everything there. And then the third one was don't be afraid to pivot and add new ideas and innovation into the business. It sounds like you started with kombucha and then you brought in coffee, cold brew coffees. And so that's awesome. So
I would like to dive into identifying the trend. And as I think, and keep in mind, I'm here in Missouri, and it seems like trends generally start on the coast and then make their way to Missouri. To me, kombucha in 2014 was not cool yet. I probably first heard of kombucha in 2018 or 19. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right. When we started our company, it was a lot of educating. Like we would go to restaurants and trying to get them to put kombucha on tap. And half the time they wouldn't know what it was. And the managers were like, I don't think so. But then their waiter or staff would be like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with kombucha. You have to get this. And so it was almost like they were our cheerleaders, but so many people, it was just educating them like, well, there's health benefits. And then by the time it was about 2018, we didn't have to educate anyone. We would just, if you didn't know what kombucha was by that point, it probably wasn't a fit for your restaurant. Like you probably weren't like the organic, farm to table style eating. But yeah, it's definitely, we were a little bit ahead of the trend.
Which is awesome. And I want to dig into that a little bit because I think you hear people talk about like they got in at the ground level, like they were an early adopter. They were before the trend. So if we can go back to 2014, what allowed you to kind of see the future of this? Was it a gut feeling? Was it based on data? Was it based on just personal experience with kombucha? What was it? And the goal here is to try to coach our listeners on how to identify these things and get in at the ground level.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that was big is like find something people are obsessed with, right? So I was obsessed with kombucha. I was drinking in bottles and paying $4 to $5 each bottle and drinking like 2 a day. So this was like 2013 timeframe. And I wasn't alone in that obsession. A lot of people were doing that, but still a lot of people didn't know what kombucha was. So it was something that I personally loved. Now, again, my husband, when he first tried it, he wasn't even blown away by it. He just kind of liked it. He could never say it right. He called it kombucha for like half a year. But he wanted to start a company that fit his healthy, active lifestyle. So he's like a mountain biker, triathlete, all that stuff. So that kind of fit his zone right there. So I feel like when you're looking for something, if it can fit into your lifestyle or like something you're passionate about, like we've had opportunities to do alcoholic kombucha, which I think would be really smart. That's like a market that kind of has had at least an upward tick. But my husband doesn't drink alcohol. So it didn't align with his values. So we never took that on. So that's something to kind of think about is like what aligns with your values, your lifestyle. And maybe if it's something like people are obsessed about, or they just, that like there's so many fans that's going to grow it and propel it. Those are a couple tips.
I like that. I really like that. And that's helpful. Finding things that you are personally passionate about. That's something that usually when people start their e-commerce journey, that's the first thing that they need to do is decide what they want to sell. And that's I think, really good advice and very helpful. So looking at the last 10 years, what were the top 3 initiatives that helped you grow your brand?
So one of the things that helped us grow, we started literally like most companies in our garage. And we just reached out to different brands of kombucha and said, hey, can we distribute you in kegs? And there was a local brand who took a chance on us, and we started with her keg. Within a few months of doing that, we were reaching out to all the major brands and saying, hey, we're distributing. Would you like us to do this? And the nation's number one kombucha company called GT's Kombucha, Synergy Kombucha. It's probably the kombucha you know if you know kombucha, said, yeah, we need a distributor. We've been trying to do it ourselves. It's been a nightmare. So when they came on board, that gave us a lot of validity, and every brand wanted to work with us. It was like, oh, you're working with GTs. Like, we need to
Nice.
So that was a huge propelling thing. And we still work with GTs. We still work with a lot of the major brands and smaller local brands too. We work with a bunch of different brands. So that was huge for propelling us. Trying to think of a couple other things that propelled us. I think, like being on that wave of the trends, that was a big one. I guess two people that like worked around the clock on it, that propelled us. This wasn't a side hustle. This was like an all in. And we did hire staff, but we were also really resourceful and scrappy. Like, we started out renting cold storage space from a brewery. So we rented until like our kegs outnumbered their beer kegs. And they were like, okay, guys, you got to like fly out of the nest. Like, you're done here. But we've always grown very organically. We didn't take huge salaries when we started. We actually didn't take a salary, I think, our first year, but just kind of put everything back into the company. And I think that propelled our growth a lot.
That's huge. So we run all of our guests into the fire round. Is there anything else we want to cover before we get into the fire round? Anything we missed out on?
I think that's good.
I do have one thing that I do want to ask. If people are interested in working with you through the influencer program, what would be the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So I do one-on-one coachings. So if people are either struggling once they're in, to get to the next step where they're actually making money in it, I'm really good at helping people kind of break to that next level. So yeah, I'm happy to entertain that. Or if you just have a random question, you always can reach out to me. I'm on social media. That's probably like the easiest. Or you could just, in the link, you have a link to my Amazon storefront. From there, you'll see all my social media and my email. Just reach out.
All right, let's get into the fire round.
All right, Deanna, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Ready, fire, me.
Awesome. What is your favorite book?
Okay, so my favorite book is one called Just Mercy. Have you heard this book? Okay, so it's by an author named Brian Stevenson, and they made a movie out of it, actually. So if you don't have time to read it, go watch the movie. But it's like life-changing. It's about, it's a real story of a guy who went to an Ivy League school. He's Black, and he moved to the Deep South to help people that are incarcerated on death row that are wrongly accused. And it is like eye-opening, life-changing about the criminal justice system, things I knew nothing about. I lived in the Deep South as a reporter, and I knew nothing about this stuff. So I used to be very, not to get political, but I used to be like, oh, why would, death penalty, of course. Like, why are we warehousing people that did these horrific crimes? But now I'm like total opposite, because there's so many people that are wrongly accused, like actually wrongly accused, that live like 30 years on death row and then they just get released. It's crazy. So his book is really eye-opening about just race in America and a lot of things. So I loved it. I definitely recommend it.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good. What are your hobbies?
Okay, my hobbies include sleep. And I'm just kidding. But really, like, one of my things, this is funny. We did a date night last night, my husband and I, and we go to this like massage place that has like I don't know if they have these where you guys live, but they have like where it's like a common room. And so you get like a cheap massage, but they're awesome. So like, I was like, gosh, I could do this every day of my life. So I feel like self-care massages, like that is a hobby of mine. Like, I will go get pampered any day. And then as far as like sports go, there's only one I do well, and that's skiing. And then I guess just like, I don't know, I don't think being a mom's a hobby, but family time, seeing my friends, I'm big on that. But I don't have like per se hobbies.
No, I definitely think that qualifies as a hobby, right? You're enjoying it and you like it and it brings happiness. So next one, what is one thing that you do not miss about working for the man or the woman?
So I go back to my TV news days there, because then I was in the office and all that. And the first thing that came to mind was like just the cattiness. You guys probably have never dealt with that in your life, but as a female, like in the wrong office environment, it can be really toxic and catty and like awful. And I had to deal with that, especially in the news industry. Just like people that would like throw you under the bus at any given moment to get ahead in their career. So there was a lot of that. And I mean, it's so hard because I've worked like for myself for so long. I can't imagine like going back to like an office. Like, I love every day can be different. Like, I can like sit in my pajamas as long as I want, and have my coffee by the pool and just like do my thing. But I also will work in the evening. So it's really like on your own terms. So I don't miss like a whole 9 to 5. Even like, I think it's like, it wasn't for me when I look back on it. So don't miss the cattiness. I don't miss the micromanaging. I don't miss the a lot of the negativity. Yeah, all that. You don't have to deal with that when you find out.
No regrets then, huh?
Oh, no regrets.
Awesome. Last one. What do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
You got to have ambition. You got to have drive, and you got to really want it, because it's not for the weak. And there's some people I think that are out there for like quick money, fast grab. It's not. I think they fail in the end because it's not like that. Like, yes, you can get in at the right time, but you still got to work at it. And being an entrepreneur, it takes a certain personality to keep going when it feels like everything's on fire around you and you're just like putting out, we joke about that all the time. We're like, oh, being an entrepreneur is being a firefighter. Like, you're literally just putting out fires all day some days. And that can be tough. And when it's good, it's good. But when it's bad, you got to make sure, like, it's your life, are you going to have groceries that week? So it's good to be, diversified, all that stuff.
Awesome. Excellent answers.
All right, Deanne, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Firing the Man podcast. To our listeners, we're going to post links in our show notes if you're interested in working with Deanne on any of the influencer marketing programs that we talked about today. And thank you.
Yeah. And if you guys, no pressure to work with me, but one thing I would love, if you go to my Amazon storefront, hit the follow button, because you may help me reach that A-list level, and then my lives will actually be seen. So I would love that.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to do that. And we encourage our audience to do the same. So thank you for being a guest, and looking forward to staying in touch. Thanks for watching this video. If you got some value out of this, would you please hit the like and subscribe button? This is a free way to support the show, and it really helps us build our audience.